Ever wonder why some people walk into a room and instantly command respect?
Nobody dares interrupt them, nobody wastes their time.
Meanwhile, you're stuck getting ignored, overlooked, or taken for granted. The truth is going to sting, because the difference isn't money or success or looks.
It's not even intelligence.
It's psychology.
See, there's one trick.
One dark principle of human behavior that they understand and you don't. A principle so powerful, Machiavelli himself wrote about it 500 years ago. And here's the part that will shock you. Once you understand it, people will never treat you the same way again. Because every time you let someone cut you off, cancel on you, or walk over you, you've been training them to see you as weak. But today, that ends. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to flip the script and finally command the respect you deserve. Point 1, the hidden weakness of being liked. Let me hit you with a brutal truth. The biggest weakness you carry is your obsession with being liked. Think about it.
Every time someone makes a joke at your expense,
every time a friend cancels plans last minute and you say, "It's okay, no worries," every time you hold your tongue because you don't want to seem difficult, you think you're keeping the peace. But what you're really doing is training people to disrespect you. See, when being liked is your top priority, you become predictable. And predictable people?
They're disposable. Why?
Because everyone knows exactly how you'll react. They know you'll nod even when you disagree. They know you'll smile even when you're insulted. They know you'll show up.
Even when they don't respect your time.
And once people can predict you, they stop valuing you. It sounds backwards, but here's the harsh reality. The harder you try to be liked, the less people actually like you. Because desperation has a smell and people can sense it from miles away. Nobody respects the guy who bends over backwards just to be accepted. Deep down, they see him as weak. Now think about the people you truly respect in your own life.
Is it the ones constantly seeking approval?
The ones always trying to please everyone? Or is it the ones who stand firm in their decisions, who don't change themselves just to fit in? Exactly. Respect flows toward those who don't need it. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." And no, he wasn't telling you to be a tyrant. He was revealing a law of psychology. Fear, in this sense, doesn't mean terror. It means consequence. When people know there's a cost to crossing you, they treat you differently. So here's the gut punch. Your addiction to being liked isn't making you stronger. It's making you invisible. And until you stop chasing approval, you'll never command the respect you deserve. Point 2, the dark power of respect. Now that you know why chasing approval makes you weak, let's talk about what actually works. Respect. And listen carefully. I'm not talking about the fake kind of respect where people smile in your face but secretly don't take you seriously. I'm talking about deep, instinctive respect. The kind that makes people think twice before crossing you. So where does that respect come from? One word, consequence. When people know they can disrespect you without any cost, they will. It's human nature. But when people know that crossing you comes with a price, whether that's losing your time, your trust, or even your presence, suddenly everything changes. Think about it. Why is it that the nicest people often get treated the worst?
It's not because they're bad people.
It's because they've trained everyone around them that there are no consequences. They've made themselves safe to disrespect. And once you're safe to disrespect, respect becomes impossible. Flip the script though, and watch what happens. The moment you stop tolerating nonsense, the moment you enforce a boundary without hesitation, people snap to attention. Suddenly they watch their words around you. They respect your time. They treat you like someone who matters. Why? Because you've made it clear that disrespect isn't free anymore. Let me break this down with an example. Imagine someone talks over you in a group.
If you laugh it off, guess what?
They'll do it again. You've trained them that interrupting you costs nothing. But if you calmly say, "I wasn't finished speaking," and hold eye contact, you've just set a price. You've drawn a line. And believe me, they'll think twice next time. Machiavelli himself warned us. Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Translation: people will treat you exactly how you allow them to. No better?
No worse. Here's the dark secret. Respect is self-reinforcing.
The more you demand it, the more you get it. And the more you get it, the easier it becomes to demand. It's an upward spiral. But it all starts with one choice. Stop giving away free passes and start making disrespect expensive. That's the real power of respect. Point 3, the psychology of control. Here's something most people never realize. Every single interaction you have is a battle for control. Who controls the conversation? Who sets the tone? Who decides the outcome? And here's the kicker. If you don't know who's in control,
It's not you. See, approval seekers lose control without.
every time you bite your tongue because you don't want to upset someone, you've handed them control over your voice. Every time you say yes when you want to scream no, you've given them control over your choices. And every time you change your opinion just to fit in, you've surrendered control over your identity. Piece by piece, you're giving your life away and you don't even realize it. Now let's flip the script. The people who truly command respect never give away control so cheaply. They don't adjust themselves to please the room. They don't beg for approval. They set the terms and others adjust to them. That's why they look confident, not because nothing bothers them, but because they refuse to let other people's opinions run their life. Think about it like this. When you desperately need someone's approval, you're basically giving them the remote control to your emotions. They press one button, it's a compliment, and when you light up. They press another, a little disapproval, and you crumble.
That's not respect.
That's slavery with extra steps, but when you stop needing that approval, the remote stops working.
Nobody can make you dance for validation anymore.
You become unpredictable, untouchable, and that's where real power begins. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be."
Few experience what you really are, and he was right.
Approval seekers live their life performing for others. They wear masks to get applause. But the moment you stop performing, when you show up as yourself without apology, you take back control. And unpredictability, my friend, is power. So here's the hard truth. You're either in control of your life or someone else's.
There is no middle ground.
And until you cut your addiction to approval, you'll always be the one being controlled, not the one in control. Point 4, approval as an addiction. Let's get real for a second.
Your need for approval?
It's not just a personality quirk, it's an addiction. And like every addiction, it's destroying you while someone else profits from it. Here's how it works.
Somebody gives you a compliment like, "You're so smart, you're so nice, you're so talented." Your brain lights up.
Dopamine hits just like a drug. For a moment you feel amazing, but then it fades.
And suddenly you need another hit. Another like on your post.
Another text back.
Another pat on the back.
Congratulations, you're hooked. And the scary part? The people around you figure this out fast. They learn exactly which buttons to press. Want you to work late? They'll say, "Oh, you're such a hard worker. Need to borrow money?" They'll call you the most generous friend ever. Want you to ignore their bad behavior? They'll butter you up with, "You're so understanding." You think it's love. You think it's appreciation. But really, they're using your brain chemistry against you. The truth is brutal. Validation is cheap to give, but expensive to receive. It costs them nothing to say, "You're amazing," but for you it costs everything because you're now dependent on something they completely control. Meanwhile, the people who don't need approval, they're impossible to manipulate. You can't control someone with compliments if they don't crave compliments. You can't manipulate someone with acceptance if they're fine without it. That's real freedom, the kind most people never taste. Machiavelli said it best. He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done
sooner affects his ruin than his preservation. In other words,
if you keep chasing what others think you should be, you destroy yourself. But if you focus on what actually matters, your own worth, your own principles, you preserve your power. So here's the punchline. As long as you're addicted to approval, you'll always be a puppet.
other people will pull the But the moment you break the cycle,
The moment you stop needing their praise to feel valuable.
that's when you cut the strings. That's when you finally take your life.
Point 5. Boundaries make you valuable. Here's the cold truth nobody tells you. Your value isn't determined by how much you give. It's determined by how much you refuse to tolerate. And that all comes down to one thing: boundaries. Look around at the people who get treated like garbage. They're not bad people. In fact, they're often the nicest, the most giving, the ones who never say no. But that's exactly the problem. When you never draw a line, people start to believe you don't have one. And when you don't have a line, you don't have value. Think about money. What makes money valuable? Scarcity, limits. You can't print it endlessly without it losing worth. The same applies to you. If your time, your energy, your kindness is unlimited, people stop appreciating it. You become like loose change lying around, useful maybe, but never respected. Now flip it. The people who command respect, they don't beg for approval.
They don't explain their worth.
They draw boundaries and they enforce them.
That friend who cancels on you 3 times.
You stop rearranging your life for them. That co-worker who keeps interrupting. You cut them off mid-sentence and finish your point.
That relative who only calls when they need something.
You stop answering it every time. Suddenly your time and presence means something. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Fear here isn't terror, it's consequence. And boundaries are how you create those consequences. Without them, you're a doormat. With them, you're a gatekeeper. Here's the emotional punch. When you're available to everyone, you become special to no one. But when you make your presence scarce and your boundaries solid, you transform. People start respecting you not because you begged for it, but because you demanded it without saying a word. So ask yourself, are you going to keep being background noise? Or are you finally ready to set the price of admission for your time, your energy, and your respect? Point 6. Scarcity and distance as power multipliers. Most people think the way to be valued is to be constantly available, to say yes to every request, to show up every time someone calls, to always be there. But here's the harsh reality. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. Think about it. The rarest things in life are the most desired. Gold, diamonds, VIP tickets. Why? Because scarcity creates value. The same rule applies to you. If people can reach you anytime, anywhere, for anything, you stop being rare and you start being taken for granted. Look at the people in your own life who hold the most social power. Are they the ones who show up at every hangout, respond instantly to every text, and bend over backwards for every favor? Or are they the ones who choose when to show up, who take their time to reply, who don't say yes unless they mean it?
Exactly. Their presence is rare, my duel, and that rarity makes it precious. Distance is magnetic.
When you're not always in someone's face, they start to wonder what you're doing, why you're not around, and how they can get your attention. Curiosity creates influence. It makes your presence feel like an event, not background noise. Machiavelli said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Translation: the less people see of you, the more they wonder about you. And wonder is power. Here's a practical example. Instead of replying instantly to every text, respond when it's convenient for you. Instead of saying yes to every hangout, be selective about where you invest your energy. Instead of forgiving people endlessly, let your forgiveness become conditional, something they earn. The punchline is simple. The more scarce you are, the more valuable you become. Scarcity makes people respect your time, your presence, your energy. But unlimited access? That makes you cheap. So the question is, do you want to be background noise, or do you want to be the rare signal everyone pays attention to? Point 7. Unpredictability seek power. Here's something most people don't get. Predictability is weakness. When people know exactly how you'll react, they can control you like a puppet.
And guess what?
Approval seekers are the most predictable people on earth. Everyone knows you'll laugh when you're uncomfortable. Everyone knows you'll agree just to avoid conflict.
Everyone knows you'll show up even when you don't want to.
That makes you easy to manipulate, easy to exploit, easy to disrespect. Now look at the people who command real respect.
They're not predictable.
Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. Sometimes they're generous, sometimes they're ruthless. Sometimes they're quiet, sometimes they're the loudest voice in the room. And because you can't quite pin them down, you're forced to respect them. You can't game them, you can't predict them, you can't control them. Machiavelli gave us the perfect metaphor. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves.
One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves both.
Be smart enough to spot manipulation, and strong enough to crush it when it comes. Here's the psychological truth. Unpredictability creates leverage. When people don't know what version of you they're going to get, they tread carefully. They think twice before crossing you. They respect your autonomy because you're not easy to play. Let me give you an example.
Imagine someone disrespects you.
If you always respond with a nervous laugh, they'll keep doing it. But if one day you laugh, the next day you ignore them, and the third time you calmly call them out, now you've disrupted the pattern. They can't predict your move anymore. And unpredictability makes people cautious. Here's the punchline. Predictable punching puppet. Unpredictable passion leader. If you want power, stop broadcasting your moves in advance. Stop being easy to read. Keep people guessing, keep them off balance, and watch how quickly their disrespect turns into respect. Point 8. Calmness under attack. Here's one of the most underrated secrets of power. Calmness. Not the fake calm where you're boiling inside, but smiling outside.
I mean, real, unshakable.
Because the way you react under pressure tells everyone exactly how much control you have. Think about it. When someone insults you, when they try to embarrass you, when they push your buttons, they're really running a test. They want to see, can they control your emotions? If you blow up, yell, or get defensive, congratulations, you just proved them right.
They own your emotions.
They own you, but flip it. Imagine someone tries to provoke you and you don't flinch. You stay cool.
Maybe you even smirk. Suddenly the game changes.
Everyone watching realizes something powerful. This person can't be shaken. And that calmness? That's terrifying to people who rely on emotional manipulation. This is why the most respected leaders, the toughest bosses, the strongest personalities, all have one thing in common. They don't lose their cool in public. You can throw shade, you can spread rumors, you can insult them, but they won't hand you the satisfaction of a reaction.
And that silence?
That cold indifference? It speaks louder than any outburst ever could. Machiavelli hinted at this when he said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be.
Few experience what you really are." When you stay calm under attack, people can't read you.
They don't know if you're angry, if you're planning something, or if you don't care at all. And that unpredictability makes them cautious. Here's a practical example. Someone raises their voice at you in an argument.
Most people would shout back.
But if you lower your tone, slow down your words, and keep steady eye contact, you flip the power dynamic instantly. They look out of control. You look untouchable. Here's the punchline. If they can control your anger, they control you. But if you can stay calm, you win every time. Calmness isn't weakness, it's bulletproof armor. Wear it and watch how fast people start treating you with the respect you've been chasing. Point 9. Respect versus admiration. A lot of people confuse admiration with respect.
And that's why they never figure out why people are nice to them.
But don't actually take them seriously. See, admiration is shallow. People admire you for what you have, for what you've achieved, or for what you can do for them. Your car, your looks, your job title, your talent.
That's admirable.
But respect goes deeper. Respect comes when people realize you won't tolerate being disrespected no matter what. Here's the difference. Admiration fades the moment circumstances change.
Lose the money, lose the title, lose the status, Muggy, and suddenly those admirers disappear.
But respect sticks because it's not about what you have. It's about who you are. Think about the people you personally respect the most. Maybe it's a tough coach who pushed you harder than anyone else. Maybe it's a strict teacher who never let you slack off. Maybe it's a friend who always tells you the uncomfortable truth.
Notice something?
They weren't always the nicest. They weren't always the most likable, but they had backbone. They stood on something solid. That's what earned your respect. Now compare that with people who are desperate to be admired. The people who brag non-stop, who flash money, who try to show off every chance they get. Sure, people might clap, nod, or even envy them for a moment. But deep down,
nobody truly respects them.
Because respect isn't about performance, it's about principle. Machiavelli understood this. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." And again, fear here doesn't mean cruelty. It means consequence. It means people know there's a price for crossing you. That's the difference between admiration and respect. Here's the punchline, that they might admire your success, but they'll only respect your backbone. If you want admiration, chase applause. But if you want respect, build boundaries. Because at the end of the day, admiration gets you claps. Respect gets you power. Point 10. Machiavellian rules of power. All right, now it's time to get practical. Enough theory, enough psychology. Let's talk about the actual rules. The Machiavellian rules that separate people who command respect from the ones who beg for it. These aren't vague tips. These are battle-tested principles that work every single time. Rule number 1, speak less, act more. Most people talk way too much. They explain, justify, overshare, and beg to be understood. That's weakness. Power doesn't explain itself. People who command respect don't defend their every move. They let their actions do the talking. When someone disrespects you, don't give a speech about boundaries, enforce them. When someone questions your decision, don't justify it, stick to it. Silence backed by action is louder than any explanation. Rule number 2, never chase approval. Every time you double text, over-explain, or beg for forgiveness, you broadcast desperation, and desperation repels respect. If someone doesn't like you, fine. If they pull away, let them. Your indifference is more magnetic than your desperation will ever be. Rule number 3, stay calm under attack. We already covered this. Anger is a leash, and whoever pulls it controls you. The most powerful move you can make when someone comes for you is to stay cold, calm, and collected. Nothing terrifies manipulators more than someone they can't emotionally shake. Rule number 4, be unpredictable. Predictable people are easy to control. Keep people guessing. Sometimes be generous, sometimes be distant. Sometimes say yes, sometimes say no. When people can't predict you, they can't play you. Rule number 5, enforce boundaries swiftly and silently. Don't issue 10 warnings. Don't explain why. Don't give second chances for the same disrespect. When a line is crossed, enforce the consequence. Fast, clean, and without apology. That teaches people your boundaries are real. Machiavelli said it best. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than love. And again, fear here is about consequence, not cruelty. When people know there's a cost to disrespecting you, they treat you differently. Here's the punchline: respect isn't asked for, it's commanded. And the only way to command it is to live by these rules every single day. Speak less, act more. Never chase, stay calm, be unpredictable, enforce boundaries. You follow these and you'll never beg for respect again.